Great new day to all my self-care family and friends. Welcome to another episode of the Room2Breathe Podcast. I'm your host, Life Coach 614, and I'm so glad that you joined us today for our podcast. And this is really just a space for our in-between moments, right? For the pauses that we take when we're doing our best to hold it all together, for the deep breaths that keep us going, and for the kind of healing that doesn't always look pretty, but it's real. Here we create room for it all. The messy, the difficult, and the beautiful. This space is to honor the process of becoming, of healing, and embracing every part of the journey. So whether you are seeking solace, strength, or just a space to breathe, you're in the right place. Now, before we dive into today's episode, just a quick reminder. If you're enjoying the show, don't forget to tap the screen, like, comment, and share. Your support helps us to connect with more amazing people like you. And if we're not friends already, be sure to give us a follow, subscribe to our channel, so that way you never miss out on our latest content. I also invite you to visit my website at theselfcareclub.org. There, you can book a personalized one-on-one coaching session. You can also check out our affirmative apparel and motivational merch, including our Room to Breathe music, as well as a bunch of free resources that are waiting for you. It's all about empowering yourself and embracing your journey. No matter what challenges you are currently facing, I want you to remember that you are not alone on this path. We are in this together, supporting and uplifting each other every step of the way. It is time for us to choose to prioritize our well-being, to embrace our growth, and to find peace in this present moment. So let's get ready to breathe, reflect, and grow together. Let me see some green hearts in the chat if you are ready. We got Nicole in the house. She is sharing the live to everybody. I see Miss Kale, Anna Banana, Kathy Cutie, 818. Chandler's in the house. Lasagna. Who else we got in here? Papa Smurf. John and James, I think. Armando. Thank you guys so much for being here. I see y'all over there. Now, today we're going to be talking about something that I know that we've all struggled with. Yes, it is, Nicole. Today we're going to talk about something that I know we've all struggled with, right? We briefly touched on this a little yesterday after the podcast, but I wanted to take the opportunity to fully, kind of delve into this conversation about trusting your intuition. Now, before we get into it, let me ask you a question. How many times have you found yourself standing at a crossroads, feeling unsure about a decision and asking, just asking for a sign, right? Like maybe you were trying to decide whether to leave a relationship, change careers, or take a leap of faith into the unknown. You ask for guidance. Maybe you look for a sign in the form of a symbol, a dream, or even a perfect piece of advice from a friend. How many times have you said, please give me a sign that I'm doing the right thing? Like, Lord, give me a sign, please. Right? I know I've been there, y'all. Right? In fact, I've been there more times than I really care to admit. It is easy to get stuck in the cycle of waiting for the universe to give us that clear, undeniable signal, right? That flashing sign that says this way, go this way, right? And, we're just waiting for some sign to tell us that this is the right path, right? Go ahead and trust it. This is right. This is where you should be. But here's something that I've learned on my own journey. The signs that we're waiting for aren't always going to come from the outside world. Okay? Many of these signs are already inside of us all along. See, the truth of the matter is, we've been taught to seek validation from the external world, whether it's from people, social media, or even just random coincidences. We look for answers from anything other than ourselves, hoping that someone or something will tell us what to do. Right, Song Q? It's just going to tell us exactly what to do. But what if, instead of constantly looking outward, we learn to look within? What if the answers to life that we are so desperately searching for are already inside of us? That's what we're going to explore today. How to stop searching for signs from the universe and start trusting the one thing that we've always had from the start, which is our intuition. See, intuition isn't some mythical, far off concept, right? It's not something that's only reserved for a select few. It's a powerful natural tool that has always been available to us. It's that quiet voice inside, that gut feeling, right? The inner wisdom that we often overlook because we're waiting for something bigger, right? We're waiting for something more obvious to guide us. But when we learn to listen, to trust, and to act from a place of deep knowing, we begin to create lives that are more aligned with who we truly are. And I get it. Learning to trust yourself is a journey in itself. Okay? It's not always easy, and it does take practice. We live in a world that thrives on external feedback, right? And sometimes that makes it hard for us to tune into our own inner wisdom. But trust me when I say this, you have everything you need within you to navigate this world, to make decisions, and to trust that you're always on the right path, even when it feels uncertain. So today, I want to invite you to let go of the need for external validation. I want to help you to understand that you don't need someone else's approval to make the right choices for your life. You already know the answer. So it is time for us to stop waiting for the sign and start trusting our intuition. Together, let's go explore how seeking permission from the outside world can really hurt us. And let's start making decisions based on the quiet yet powerful voice within. Hey, Focus, welcome in. I see you, Rye Guy. So let's just dive right in, y'all. Right? I think it's important for us to begin with that search for external validation. I want you to raise your hand if you've ever found yourself in a moment of doubt. Hey, Trey's mom. If you've ever found yourself in a moment of doubt, asking the universe, please show me a sign. Give me a clue of what to do next. Anybody? Because look, I know I have. Whether it was a big life decision or a seemingly small choice, it is so easy for us to fall into the trap of waiting for someone or something to tell you that you're on the right path. You know, our society craves external validation because it feels comforting. It's like an invisible reassurance that says, you're doing it right, keep going, right? But here's the thing. We have been conditioned to seek answers outside of ourselves. Think about it. How many times have we tuned into social media for approval? We're looking for likes, comments, validation from others. Maybe you've asked your friend for advice, hoping that they'll give you the right answer. It's like we're often searching for signs, looking for clear signals from the universe, or hoping that, these things that we hope to find will give us the permission that we need to move forward. We look for them in our dreams, in the quotes that we see on IG, even in those chance encounters with strangers, right? We're like, maybe that was a sign. But what if that external validation is keeping us stuck? See, it's easy for us to think that if we have enough people agree with us, we'll feel more confident in our decision. So we run around seeking approval from our family, friends, colleagues, hell, even strangers, right? And I'm not picking on nobody because listen, I've been there, y'all. I know what it feels like. But this is where it gets tricky because at this point we start to doubt ourselves. And that doubt can be paralyzing. What up, Queen Anne? Right? We get trapped in this, and all of a sudden, that doubt is paralyzing to us. I've had moments where I've questioned career change, I've questioned relationships, and even personal boundaries, right? The boundaries that I wanted to set for my life. And in those moments of uncertainty, I started asking for signs. I started saying things like, should I stay at this job? Should I leave this relationship? Should I say no to this opportunity? Like I was I was constantly searching for another sign. Something else, something more, right? I wanted somebody to tell me what to do and to point the direction I needed to go to do it. Right? Because that feels safer. When somebody else tells you what to do, it feels safer. It's like it takes the burden off of your shoulders. But see, the thing that I've learned is that the external validation can lead us in circles. We're forever waiting for the perfect sign that may never come. Even when it does come, it often doesn't have lasting power that the internal sense of knowing has. How many times have you asked a friend for their advice? They gave it to you, but you still doubted your next move. Thank you for the follow. Right? So, you've asked somebody a question and they give you their opinion or their perspective over the situation, but you still feel like, I still don't know what I want to do. See, looking outside ourselves creates like this loop of doubt. So now you've gotten this advice from others, but you start questioning your decisions, wondering if you missed something, right? Can I even trust this person's advice that I've asked? Am I even doing the right thing? And look, if we're honest, that is exhausting. It's like downright draining to your energy. And the thing that I don't think that many of us realize is that every time we look for validation in someone else, we're giving our power away. We're telling ourselves that somebody else knows better what we need to do with our life. Think about how often we look to others for the answer. It's so common in the age, the world that we live in this age of the internet, right? Where everyone's opinion is just one Google search away. So we head straight to Google, we type in our question, hoping for the answers. But what we don't realize is that these answers are all based on someone else's experience. Hey, Dream. Those answers are all based on somebody else's beliefs. And what worked for them may or may not work for us. So when I look back at, some of the moments when I've been indecisive, I realized that I never needed a sign. What I needed was to trust the quiet whisper of my own intuition. I needed to turn inward instead of outward. But this is, again, it gets tricky because society doesn't always teach us how to listen to our inner wisdom. Instead, we're taught to seek this validation. We're taught to get approval from others before we make a move. And sometimes we're taught that our intuition isn't reliable. Manifesting stability, welcome in, love. Right? So sometimes we're taught that is just a feeling. Your intuition is just a silly little feeling and it shouldn't be trusted. Right? But the truth is, at the end of the day, you're the only one who truly knows what's best for you. You are the expert of your own life. And so the first step to breaking free from this cycle of, craving and yearning for external validation is simply awareness. Awareness. Ask yourself, how often do you make decisions based upon what others think instead of what you know? Right? Instead of trusting your own voice. Yeah, Trey's mom said, I trust my intuition and it's never wrong. And listen, when I say, once you become aware of it, you start to feel this shift. It doesn't mean that we don't seek advice from people we trust, right? It just means that we stop relying on the external validation to make the decision that should be rooted in our own intuition. By learning to trust yourself, you are freeing up space to listen to that inner voice. It might be a subtle, quiet voice at first, but as you begin to trust it, you'll find that you don't need to wait for any external signs anymore. You'll know deep within what's best for you. So the next time you find yourself asking, what should I do? Or you're looking for a sign, try to just pause, right? Just take a deep breath. Check in with your body. Feel how you feeling, right? Trust your heart, your soul, and trust that the answers are already within you. You already know the way. And in fact, you've always known the way. But like I said, over the years, you've just let society speak louder, right? And there's a voice inside of us, each and every one of us. So now that we've talked about like how we often look outward for answers, let's actually spend some time exploring something that's within us all. And like I said, that's that subtle voice inside of us all, the intuition, right? So many of us live our lives on autopilot, constantly reacting to everything around us. We get caught up in the rush of daily life, distracted by the notifications, the endless list of things to do, right? All of the responsibilities and the pressure to meet other people's expectations, the outside noise. And in this noise, it is really easy for us to forget that we actually have an inner guide, an inner navigation or GPS, if you will. And that guide isn't something magical or mystical. It is simply wisdom. Wisdom that we've gained over the years. Hey, Chocolate Barbie. Right? The wisdom that we've gained over time, that internal knowing, that gut feeling that tells us this is right for me or this don't seem quite right. Think about a time that you made a decision and at the moment it seemed like it didn't make sense to anyone else, but it felt right to you. Right? Hi, Hashim. Maybe you left a job that everybody thought you were crazy to leave. Maybe you walked away from a relationship that seemed perfect on paper, but it didn't align with what your soul needed. Maybe you decided to say no to something that everybody else said yes to. And even though you couldn't fully explain it, deep inside, you knew you were making the right choice. That was intuition guiding you. And here's the thing. Our intuition often speaks to us quietly. It's not always dramatic. It's not some big loud voice or, what we might expect from a sign or a message from the universe. It's much more subtle, right? It's a little inner nudge, just a little push. the sudden clarity in a moment of stillness. It's that feeling in your body that something feels right or that it doesn't. Sometimes it's just knowing that the right, knowing that what rises from within you is something that doesn't even have really a logical explanation all the time, right? And when it doesn't make sense, your intuition has an incredible way of leading you back into the right direction. But if it's within us, why is it so easy to ignore? Why is it that we often dismiss this voice, or worse, we doubt this voice? Part of it comes from, how we've been conditioned, right? I touched on this a little bit, how we've been conditioned over the years. From a very early age, we were taught to seek external approval, to look for validation from authority figures like your parents, your teachers, your peers. We were encouraged to follow the rules, to meet expectations, and to seek success defined by other people. So as a result, we started to disconnect from our inner voice because we were constantly looking to others to tell us what's right and what's wrong. Over the years, we began to question ourselves, doubting that our intuition can even be trusted because there is an expert with an opinion. Thank you so much. You too, love. There's always an expert over here with an opinion. And of course, because they're an expert, they have to know better than me because I don't have a degree in that area. Another reason that we often ignore our intuition is because it feels scary. Like, let's just be real. It's scary. Because our intuition doesn't always lead us down a well-paved path. Sometimes it pushes us to take a risk, to step into the unknown, or to make choices that clearly defy conventional logic. It might nudge us to end a relationship that feels comfortable, but it doesn't serve us anymore. Our intuition might tell us to take a career path that feels a little bit risky, but it actually aligns with our hearts. So it's in these moments of uncertainty where the voice of intuition can feel like it's a bit of a challenge, right? And we might feel tempted to push it aside in favor of something that seems a little more safe, a little more practical. But your intuition doesn't lead you astray. Your intuition's sole purpose is to guide you towards your truest, most authentic self. Think of it like a compass that always points you toward what's right for you. You might not always understand why, but that inner voice is simply asking you to trust it, even when the path doesn't immediately make sense. And I can share my own experience with trusting that voice. There was a time in my life when I was facing a huge decision about whether or not to stay in a particular job that everybody thought I should keep. On paper, it seemed like the perfect job. Good salary, stability, the respect of my coworkers, all of that, right? All the bells and whistles. What up, John? But deep down, every single fiber of my being was telling me that this was no longer the right fit for me. It was the kind of work that it wasn't the kind of work that aligned with my values. It wasn't fulfilling in a way that I know that it should be. So my gut kept telling me it is time to move on. But I just kept suppressing that. I kept pushing it down because I'm like, you're crazy. I don't even have a plan B. You talk about quit my job. I ain't got no plan B. This all I got. Because I couldn't explain why. Why would I give up a sure thing for a maybe? And all the external signs kept making me feel like I was being irresponsible. But my inner voice kept getting louder. kept urging me to trust myself, to walk on faith, right? And so finally I decided to listen. I made a choice to leave, not knowing what would come next. The moment I actually took the leap, it felt like a weight had been lifted off of me. Even though I didn't have all the answers at the time. Hell, I still don't have all the answers, to be honest with you. But I felt this profound sense of relief and peace. And looking back, I feel like it was one of the best decisions I ever made. And while it didn't always make sense to other people, it made perfect sense to me. That voice of intuition was guiding me. And see, another thing about intuition is it's not always going to have a clear explanation. You're not going to always have immediate proof that it's right. But it always feels aligned with your true self. It speaks to you when you're quiet enough to listen. And it knows what you truly need, even when your logical mind is trying to fill you with doubt and fear. And the most important part of trusting your intuition is understanding that it's not always about ignoring reality or being reckless. It's about staying attuned with your true desires, your needs, your values. It's about making decisions that honor who you are at your core. Intuition isn't to be misled or, it's not to mislead you. It's simply there to guide you. Even when you sometimes think it's taking a risk. Taking a step that aligns with your intuition can be the most powerful and transformative choice that you ever make for yourself. And I know that there's this huge fear. We're constantly using the word fear, right? We're afraid to do this. We're afraid to do that. Some of us have a fear of missing out if we don't show up to something, right? So even though our intuition is powerful and a reliable guide, there's something that always gets in the way of us trusting it, which is fear. Fear is a sneaky little thing, ain't it? It loves to whisper in our ears when we're on the verge of making a decision, especially when it involves stepping out on faith, stepping out of our comfort zone, or making a change that feels a little uncertain. And let me tell you, one of the biggest barriers to truly trusting your inner wisdom is fear. At its core, fear is tied to the unknown. And our minds are wired to seek safety and security, which means anything that's unfamiliar or anything that requires a leap of faith can trigger fear. So now we start questioning whether our intuition is just a fantasy. Is it a product of wishful thinking or a voice leading us to something a little bit risky or dangerous? Right? And when that fear kicks in, it can be paralyzing. Welcome in, love. Rich risings to you. Suddenly, that quiet inner voice that was guiding us doesn't seem so trustworthy anymore. Right? We begin to doubt ourselves. We might even begin second guessing ourselves. All those choices that we felt so confident about before, now we're starting to question it. So let's talk about fear, that false evidence that appears real, right? The first layer is often the fear of being wrong, right? And I know that's a huge one. What if I do this and I'm wrong? What if I try this and it's not right? Right? How many times have you ignored your gut feeling because you were afraid of making a mistake? The fear of being wrong is something that keeps so many people stuck in indecision. It keeps us in relationships, jobs, situations that no longer serve us But because we're terrified of choosing wrong, we are sitting here dealing with the consequences. Even before it's all said and done, right? We're afraid to choose because we might be wrong. And I don't want what happens when I'm wrong. Maybe you've experienced this in your own life. Because Lord knows I have, right? There was a time in my life when like I said, I was facing a really big decision about leaving a job. And on one hand, my intuition was telling me it was time to move on. On the other hand, that fear crept in. Like, what if you wrong? What if you don't find another job? How you gonna pay your bills? What if people judge you for leaving something that was so secure? And so the fear of wrong almost kept me in a place of paralysis. It took a lot of courage before I finally took that leap. And like I told you, it was one of the best decisions I could have ever made. And, another thing about fear is that it doesn't just paralyze us with thoughts of making mistakes. It also plays on that fear of judgment from others. We live in a world that places so much emphasis on external approval, whether it's from our family, our friends, society at large, right? There's this constant pressure to make decisions based upon what other people think is right or acceptable. And the idea of stepping out of line and doing something that feels authentically right to me might seem a little nerve-wracking, right? You might be a little afraid to do that because that move that you're planning to make may be unconventional to others. And so we all have our fair share of moments where we second guess ourselves because we're afraid of what other people might think. Maybe you have a friend who questioned a decision that you made to, walk away from one situation for something that you deemed to be better. And, to them, it doesn't make sense. A lot of people will see that as a step backwards. But deep inside, you know that it's the right decision for you to make. And so at that moment, you've got to make a choice. Am I going to let the fear of this person's judgment guide my choices? Or would I rather trust my inner voice that's calling me to something bigger and better? Am I going to trust the fact that what's for me is for me and that no man can take that from me? Another layer of fear is the fear of change. Because Lord knows we get comfortable in a situation. So trusting our intuition sometimes means stepping into something new. Again, career, a new way of living, a new lifestyle choice that you're making for yourself, hobby, whatever, right? No matter how you look at it, change is uncomfortable. And, the fear of change keeps us in situations that no longer align with us simply because it's familiar. That's why people who are in abusive relationships tend to stay, even though the relationship that they're in is not healthy for them, but they don't know what else is out there. Right? So I'm a keep this close to me because it could be something else worse. Yeah, he cusses me out and we argue a lot, but he don't hit me. So he verbally abuses me, but he doesn't physically abuse me. And I don't want to let go of him in this verbal abuse because the next one might put his hands on me. So we're afraid of change. When we're asked to trust our intuition, we're often called to break out of that familiar, to take a risk, and that's scary. As humans, we are naturally resistant to change. But change requires us to let go of the comfortable. And again, that can be downright terrifying in some situations. And our egos try to protect us from the discomfort, but in doing so, it somehow convinces us to stay stuck. But here's the thing: change is often the very thing that leads us towards personal growth, expansion, and fulfillment. Without it, we stay stagnant in our energy, never moving forward or evolving into the version of ourselves that we were meant to be all along. Trusting your intuition isn't about making a decision, it's about embracing the process of transformation that everyone must go through. It's about knowing that even though change can feel scary, it's also an invitation to step into your next chapter. Another fear that I know y'all can relate to is the fear of failure. Because we live in a world that often celebrates success, but it doesn't offer the same compassion for failure. Again, we're taught to avoid failure at all costs. We're told failure is not an option, that is something to be ashamed of. But failure is a natural part of growth. In fact, failure is often the best teacher that we will ever have in life. Failure simply means that we've learned something, right? It means that we took action, we experimented, and we got the feedback that is helping us to move forward. And so the more we trust our intuition, the more we're able to embrace failure as a part of the journey, part of the process. We stop fearing it, and instead we use it as fuel for growth. After all, failure doesn't happen because we trusted ourselves too much. It happens because we were brave enough to step outside of our comfort zone and try something new. The more we fail forward, the more we understand that trusting ourselves isn't about avoiding mistakes. It's about knowing that we can handle whatever life throws our way. And so we have to begin to let go of these fears. And the key to overcoming fear is trusting your intuition to recognize that fear is not the enemy, it is simply a signal. Fear is a part of the process, and it is a sign that you are about to step into something that requires your courage. That fear that you fear, or that fear that you feel, is basically just a notification that says, hey, be on alert. We're about to do something new. It doesn't have to paralyze you. Simply use that fear as a signal that you're on the right track. It means that you are about to grow, that you are about to stretch into the next version of yourself. When you begin to trust your intuition, you'll find that that fear does not disappear. I'm sorry, it's not going to go away, but it will get quieter, right? It will get quieter. And over time, as you continue to take small steps, trusting yourself, you're going to realize that you can handle whatever comes your way. You'll realize that the reward to trusting yourself and trusting your intuition far outweighs the temporary discomfort of fear. The fear may never fully go away, and that's okay. Feel the fear, but do it anyway. Every time you make a decision that is based on your inner knowing, every time you take that leap of faith, you become stronger, more confident, and more aligned with your true self. So, the next time you're faced with a choice that makes you feel scared, ask yourself, what would I do if I trusted myself completely? Hey, Butterfly. What up, DJ? What would I do if I trusted me wholeheartedly? Let that question guide you. And you might be surprised at how much fear begins to fade when you realize that you've always had the power within you to navigate through it. Again, trusting your intuition is not about being fearless. It's about acknowledging that you fear, you embrace it, and you move forward anyway. I can remember teaching kindergarten, and one of the songs that we taught the kiddos was about going on a bear hunt, right? And in that song, you're telling them that they have the power to get through things, right? In the song, we say, I'm going on a bear hunt. And of course, the children echo everything you say. But it's, I'm going on a bear hunt and I'm looking for the bears and I'm not scared. And so, we're marching through the classroom and all these little kids are like, I'm not scared, right? So we give them bravery. We give them the courage. So then I'm like, oh no, look, it's quicksand up ahead. What are we going to do? So, of course, everybody's like, oh God, what do? We panic because we've hit this roadblock in life. So what do we do? So then we come back and we empower them and we start logically thinking. So in the song, you're like, oh, it's quicksand. What do we do? And so we start analyzing it and we say, well, we can't go over it. We can't go around it. We can't go under it. So we got to go through it. And so everybody's like, okay, cool. We know we can't go over it, under it, or around it. So we just gonna have to go through it. So everybody braces up and we start trekking through this quicksand. We make it through. Wipe your hands. Whew. Right? And then you celebrate because we're like, yes, we made it. So we got to keep going on this bear hunt. So you keep going. Once again, I'm going on a bear hunt looking for the bears and I'm not scared. Right? And then you hit something else. All of a sudden, you've made it through the quicksand and the mud and the rivers and all of these things, right? You done waded through the trees, all of this. Now, all of a sudden, you're at a mountain. You're tired because you done just went through all of these other obstacles in life, but we got to keep going because we're going on a bear hunt. So all of a sudden, we make it to a mountain. Better yet, we at a cave. Dark cave. So we recognize can't go around it, can't go over it, can't go under it. So we got to go in it. We got to go through this cave because there's no way around it. So we get into this cave. Cool. You see what I mean? So that literally is one of the earliest self-care teachings that we teach our children, right? We teach our children that in life you're going to set a goal. That was we're going on the bear hunt. That was my goal. I'm looking for the bear and I ain't scared. I got courage. I could do this. Now, somebody else might be like, you're crazy. Why are you looking for a bear? What you gonna do when you find the bear, right? So it doesn't make sense to some other people, but damn it, I said I'm going on a bear hunt. I'm looking for a bear and I ain't scared. Then life throws obstacles my way. People are over here talking because they think I'm crazy, but I keep going. I see it through. That is us following our inner wisdom. I know, right? Let me have a sip. Hey, pretty. Thank you for the reminder. Y'all be needing to remind me to drink my water. Thank you. Hey, girl. How are you? But, again, that is our reminder to trust our intuition, to persevere, to fight through the fear. So, again, trusting intuition is not about being fearless. It's about acknowledging that you fear, embracing it, and moving forward anyway. The only real failure is not trusting yourself at all. So, how can we actually start to trust our intuition more? I know y'all like actionable tips. So, I jotted down just a few ways, 4 little ways that you can start to connect with your inner wisdom more. The first is meditation. Meditation is an incredible way to get, to quiet the noise around you and to hear your inner voice more clearly. You can start as simple as 5 minutes every day. Focus on your breath and allow your thoughts to come and go without judgment. The more you practice, the more you'll hear that quiet voice, that gentle whisper guiding you. Another way to connect with your inner wisdom is journaling. When in doubt, write it out, right? Journaling is a very powerful tool for connecting with your inner wisdom. Sometimes when we write without expectations, the answers that we've been searching for somehow show up on the page. So the next time you're uncertain, I encourage you to grab a journal and just let your thoughts flow. No filter, no prompt, most importantly, no judgment. Just pure honesty with yourself. Thank you, pretty. Another way is to become more body aware. Our bodies are incredibly intuitive. So pay attention to how you feel when you're making decisions. Do you feel light, expansive, and excited? Or do you find yourself feeling heavy and tight and uncomfortable? Your body often picks up on the subtle signs that your mind has yet to process. Thank you. So make sure you take the time to be more aware. Listen to your body. Trust your body. And the last tip to building a stronger connection with your inner wisdom is to simply start small. You don't have to make life-altering decisions in one day. Start by listening to your intuition in smaller moments, such as what to eat for dinner, right? Which path to take on your walk, what to wear today. The more you practice trusting yourself in these smaller moments, the easier it will become to trust yourself when the big decisions show up. Thank you for the follow. So, we've talked about fear, about connecting with your inner wisdom. Now we've arrived at the most important aspect of trusting your intuition. And it is trusting the process. This step is crucial because it's not enough to just hear your inner voice, but you also have to trust the process. You have to trust the journey is unfolding exactly as it's meant to. And it certainly won't always be comfortable because we know that this process isn't linear. So there's a chance that it might not look the way you expected. But the truth is, it's all a part of your evolution, your growth, and your transformation. Trusting the process simply means surrendering the need to control every outcome. And y'all, this is probably the hardest part for me. I discovered that I was a control freak. I needed to micromanage every single little aspect. What up, big dog? Um, and so I had to learn that trusting the process meant that I had to surrender my control or my need to control every outcome. And let's face it, control is one of those tricky things that we often hold on to so tightly, right? Especially when we're uncertain about the future. When, we want things to go according to the plan. We want the answers that we want now. And we want to feel secure in our decisions. But when it comes to following your intuition, you've got to learn to let go of your need for certainty and perfection. Life is not a straight line. It is filled with beautiful twists and turns and unexpected detours like quicksand when you're on a bear hunt. And oftentimes, the beauty of our journey is found in these moments of uncertainty. Hey, Queen, welcome in. Think about it. When you trust the process, you allow yourself to flow with life instead of fighting against it. You stop trying to predict every move and you start embracing the unknown. You begin to understand that even if you can't see the results just yet, you trust that this next step is leading you to your higher good, right? To what's next for you, what's better for you. And I feel like one of the hardest things for many people when they start trusting their intuition is having patience, right? Because we live in a society that thrives on instant gratification, right? We want to call JG Wentworth, it's my money and I want it now, like right now. I could order it, but I don't want to wait a week. I'm going to use my Amazon Prime and I want it today, in 2 days, next day, right? So we all struggle with patience because we want things to happen now. But healing, growth, and transformation take time. Trusting the process is about learning to be patient with yourself, understanding that every single step you take, no matter how small it seems, is a part of the bigger picture. And I know that it is easy for us to get frustrated that things aren't, happening in our timeline. But remember, timing is everything. The biggest thing I had to learn about timing is that it's not even my will, it's the will of God. So what I'm going to rush it for? It ain't going to happen when I want it. But they say it may not always happen when you want, but it always happen right on time. So we've got to understand that timing is everything. And just because you don't see immediate results doesn't mean that it's not happening. McLean Gang, welcome in. Hey, Wendy. Just because you don't see immediate results doesn't mean that it's not happening. In fact, so much is happening beneath the surface, and it's all preparing us for what's to come. So trusting the process means believing that the right opportunities, the right people, the right resources will appear in perfect time, even if it's not according to your schedule. The journey of trusting the process involves embracing the idea that you don't always have to know what comes next. How many times have we second guessed ourselves because we didn't know what the next step was? I don't know what's going to happen next, so I'm not fitting to make a move, right? Oftentimes we're taught that we have to have a plan, that we have to know exactly what's going to happen next. This is step A. I need to see step B. I need to know what's going to happen in step C before I can even take that, right? So we need to know exactly what's going to happen next. And that uncertainty equals failure. If I'm not, sure of what's going to happen next, it's failure. But that's simply not true. The key is taking one step at a time. Even if you don't know the whole path, you have to trust that as you move forward, the next step is going to reveal itself. You have to understand that next step, once it reveals itself, is the right step. But it's only going to happen when you stop waiting for the full picture to come into focus. You've got to move with confidence. And so when you trust the process, you give yourself permission to move forward without all the answers, trusting that every single thing that you need is going to show up along the way. Trusting the process also means trusting your ability to handle the challenges along the way. When you follow your intuition, you might encounter obstacles, roadblocks, challenges that feel discouraging. But rather than seeing those challenges as setbacks, view them as setups for your comeback, right? Opportunities to strengthen your truest self and, know that what's for me is for me. After all, growth rarely happens in a straight line. So it is important for us to learn to face difficult situations in order to learn the lessons so we can evolve. Trusting the process is about embracing the journey, the entire journey, the ups, the downs, the highs, the lows, and every single thing in between. It's about knowing that you are always on the right path, even when it doesn't look like you expected it to. It's trusting that the bumps in the road are simply a part of the plan, and that you will emerge stronger, wiser, and more aligned with your truth. It's about trusting that your intuition is always going to be there to guide you. Even when the road gets rocky, you can navigate it with confidence. So let go of your need to control. Release the fear of the unknown and trust that everything is happening for your highest good. The process of trusting your intuition isn't about getting everything right. It's about surrendering to the flow of life, trusting yourself, and knowing that you are exactly where you need to be. The journey is the destination. Trust it, embrace it, and know that you've got this. So let's stop waiting for signs from the universe. Because the truth is, the sign that you've been looking for is you. You are your own guide, and you've always had the wisdom to move forward. So trust that. Trust yourself. The journey that you're on is uniquely yours, and every single thing that you need to navigate it is already embedded in you. That quiet voice, that knowing, that's your inner compass. And so you don't need anything outside of yourself to confirm your path. Your heart and your soul already know the way. So I want you to take a moment and reflect on this. Every step that you've taken in your life, every decision that you've made has brought you to this very moment. You are here right now because you listened to some part of yourself that knew what was best for you, even when you couldn't see the bigger picture. It's easy to second guess ourselves, to get caught up in the uncertainty, or to look around and compare ourselves to others. But when you pause and remember that your intuition has been with you all along, that path becomes clearer. You don't need the world's approval or permission. You've already been given everything you needed to succeed. As we wrap up today's episode, I want to take this opportunity to say thank you for joining us. If you've enjoyed this podcast today, be sure to give us a follow, subscribe to our channel, so that way you never miss out on our latest content. And if you're interested in being a featured voice on our podcast, we'd love to hear from you. Reach out to us to discuss further details and to schedule your recording session. As always, don't forget to head over to our website at theselfcareclub.org. There you can book a personalized one-on-one coaching session. We also have affirmative apparel and other motivational merch, including our Room to Breathe music, as well as a treasure trove of free resources designed just for you. Whether you're looking to elevate your self-care game or you want to find a little extra inspiration to get you through the day, know that we've got you covered. I thank each and every one of you for being a part of the Self-Care Club community, and I look forward to connecting with you again soon. But until next time, I encourage you to keep breathing, stay positive, and remember that you will always be supported here at the Self-Care Club. Don't be afraid to take up space and make a little room for you to breathe. I pray that you all have an amazing day on purpose, filled with nothing but purpose. And be sure to head over to the website when you get there. Click on the voting link. Today is the final day for round 2 in the Timbo I Do global search. We are still number 1 in that challenge, y'all. Our song Walking in My Purpose is still number 1. We are in round 2 and we are trying to go to round 3. So if you have not voted in round 2 already, I encourage you, again, head over to my website at theselfcareclub.org. There you will have the official voting link. Everyone gets 1 free vote per round. So we're down to the last few hours, you guys. Like I said, if you haven't voted already, please hop over there, give us a vote, so we can advance to this third round and be one step closer to that $30,000. Okay, y'all. But again, I love you guys. I pray that you have an amazing day on purpose, filled with nothing but purpose, and we'll connect again soon. Thank you.